I was born in 1986 and I'm a Sagittarius. I have an excellent job, being the only child. I grew up under the tender care of my parents. My life has been smooth sailing, with a well-off family background. I've never endured hardships, which made me trusting and innocent. He was born in 1982 and is a Cancer. Currently, he's a civil servant, but his family circumstances weren't favorable. The way we met was rather peculiar. Perhaps the outcome was predestined from the start. After graduating from university, I came alone to work in an unfamiliar city. I'm usually well-behaved and stay at home most of the time. I only go out when invited by close colleagues, such as for meals or singing. I had never set foot in a bar before. In May this year, a college friend of mine came to visit me in the city where I work. On a whim, we went to a bar, just the two of us girls. Initially, we merely intended to have a few beers, experience the atmosphere and then leave. However, I met my current boyfriend there. He approached, stood before me and smiled. He expressed his wish to invite me to have a few drinks at their table. Instantly, I was charmed by his smile. It was warm and sunny, so I went along with my friend. There were two guys at their table, he and one of his colleagues. Subsequently, his colleague kept pouring me drinks. I was naive and didn't know how to refuse. Whenever he offered, I drank. Soon, I got drunk and lost consciousness. I was taken to a hotel by his colleague and ended up having a one-night stand. He witnessed everything, including the intimate moments, since it was in the same room. Due to excessive alcohol intake, I was poisoned and couldn't get up the next day. His colleague left and he stayed to look after me. When I regained consciousness and started chatting with him, he came to realize that I wasn't a girl who frequented bars or was promiscuous. I was just overly trusting and innocent. Throughout that entire day, he cared for me meticulously and attentively. Through our conversations, our initial impressions of each other were exceptionally favorable. He disclosed that he had always been seeking a girl like me, pure and kind-hearted. He invited me to their table the previous night because he was drawn to me, but alas, his colleague made the first move. He was deeply grieved about what transpired. He regretted not intervening and misjudging me, assuming I was an easy girl. In the subsequent months, he constantly called and met me. Our understanding of each other deepened, and we increasingly discovered that the other was the one we desired. He earnestly wished to be with me, yet he was hesitant because he couldn't overcome that psychological barrier. He couldn't accept the one-night stand between me and his colleague. That month, both of us were in agony, unsure of how to proceed. We were trapped in a limbo, unable to advance further. Later, I told him, "Don't think too much. Let's be together. Time will heal everything." I hoped that time would diminish the impact of the incident and he would forget the past and be with me wholeheartedly. Subsequently, we embarked on a romantic relationship. We were blissful and harmonious. But now, a new problem has emerged. I informed my parents about our relationship and they were in favor. They asked me to bring him home during the new year, but he was reluctant to visit my parents. Whenever the topics of the future and marriage came up, he would fall silent or evade. I questioned him if he had no intention of marrying me, but he remained silent. he insisted that it was his own issue and he couldn't come to terms with it. It wasn't my fault. Recently, my parents are preparing to transfer me back to my hometown. I asked him, either I don't go home and we stay in this city, let's purchase a house and settle down. He claimed that he didn't like this place and preferred Beijing. I replied, okay, then I'll accompany you to Beijing. I'll ask my parents for some funds. Let's establish a home in Beijing and I'll seek employment there. He stated that he needed to contemplate and suggested that I return home first. He believed that going home would be better for me. I queried, if I go home, what about you? How will our relationship progress? He responded that when his company establishes a base in my hometown, he'll come to find me and marry me. In reality, it's highly unlikely for their company to set up a base in our hometown. This promise is essentially empty. Dear, I'm extremely frightened at present. I'm the kind of person who becomes highly dependent on my boyfriend when in a relationship. I'm rational when single, but once in love, I invest myself completely. I had a boyfriend for 4 years previously, but I've only known him for half a year. I sense that my love for him surpasses that. For my ex-boyfriend, I bought him clothes and watches. Everything he possesses is purchased by me. He has also spent a considerable amount on me. In truth, he treats me well, but I'm willing to do everything for him, even giving up my job and leaving this city with him. However, he's uncertain about our future together, or perhaps he merely intended for this to be a temporary romance. Nowadays, our days are becoming increasingly mundane. I perceive that his affection for me isn't as intense as before. Maybe this relationship won't endure in the long run, but I still hold on to the hope that he can forgive me. He shouldn't deny my entire life due to this one incident, my dedication and all that I've done for him. I dread losing him. I constantly fear that if he encounters a more suitable woman, he'll abandon me. The current situation is that perhaps because he hasn't found someone more suitable and our lives have grown, he seems to have lost interest in me. Although he remains gentle and considerate, I can detect his weariness and aloofness. He's tired of our humdrum existence. Sooner or later, he'll part ways with me. He has no intention of building a future with me. I'm aware that my position is rather vulnerable now. I could find a man with better conditions, but I'm unable to extricate myself. I love him profoundly. I dare not imagine how I'd carry on with my life if he were to leave me. I understand that I'm no longer young and I yearn for marriage. I anticipate having my own family and children. I shouldn't cling to a relationship without a future, but when facing him, I can't bring myself to end it. What should I do? How can I break free from this predicament?